Hi everyone, this is Neil Wright, consultant audiologist and director of ClearWax. Thank you for joining me in my latest video using the Waxgate. And here we have a patient who attended reporting tinnitus in their right ear. And it was a tonal tinnitus, it wasn't pulsatile, so it wasn't cardiosynchronous, it wasn't pulsing in line with their heartbeat or their breathing, for example. And they've been suffering from it for the last few days. They went elsewhere and were advised that this ear is completely blocked. The wax is really impacted. You can see it's quite matted. Interestingly, you will see for yourselves in a moment. I'm chuckling to myself because it was, well, it's not really funny because if someone's being misdiagnosed, it's never a laughing matter. But they were told that the left ear is completely clear and the eardrum was fully visible. But you shall see for yourself in a moment. They were recommended to use hydrogen peroxide drops, which, as you guys all know, I'm not a big fan of. But despite using it for a few days, it had a minimal effect, at least on the surface of this wax. Normally with hydrogen peroxide, or in the UK, typically it's carbamide peroxide. So it's 1-to-1 ratio of urea, which helps to break down keratin, dead skin, and hydrogen peroxide, which reacts with an enzyme called perioxidase, which is secreted by the ceruminous glands, which secrete the oily sweat in the ear. And when hydrogen peroxide reacts with perioxidase, it converts into water and oxygen. The water further tries to break down the skin flakes involved in this wax plug, because skin is hydrophilic. It absorbs the water, it causes it to swell, burst out the membranes and macerate. So it tries to almost like explode, and it's like a grenade. You're putting a grenade into the plug of wax, trying to explode it in that sense by overhydration. But also when hydrogen peroxide is converted into oxygen, it creates effervescence, and that bubbling mechanical reaction further tries to break up the wax plug. So the surface was really dry. It didn't have the typical effects of hydrogen peroxide or carbamide peroxide, but I suspect some of the drops did seep deeper in the ear, and it was a bit more wet and mushy deeper. That's the patient's eardrum. There's a bit of skin, which can sometimes be a side effect of using hydrogen peroxide and carbamide peroxide, but it's non-significant. So this is their left side. So I'm just getting it in focus. I'm not quite sure how the eardrum was visible on this side. But it was a huge plug that I removed, and I actually had to remove it using the ear hook. It wasn't going to suction. So as soon as I entered with the suction probe, I could feel how dense, how solid this block of wax was. So I just put some oil in myself initially, just to see if that made any difference, but it didn't. Now, if you're not using mechanical instruments, how would you remove this? But I would think this would be really, really difficult to remove with suction. It would take a long, long time. And even then, I doubt this would have come out where you would suction. So I suspect the patient would have been advised to come back after using drops, which is obviously unnecessary in this case. It means the patient's still got a blocked ear. And so I'm just using the right angled ear hook. I've managed to get over and beyond it. There's a little opening there, and it was really solid, and I'm just leveraging it forwards, and I'm just going to go back behind it, so it's just trapped at the entrance of the ear. And this plug actually fell away from the ear and dropped on the floor. My carpet is a dark brown, so it kind of camouflaged, but so fortunately we found it and vacuumed it up. Just move that out of the way. There's a bit of skin just anteriorly. I started to remove this. It began clarinetting slightly, so I just stopped. You see it's quite sticky, so I'm just pushing it to the side. And then we're going to have a look at the eardrum. So again, this ear is a bit narrower and bendier. The anterior canal wall to the left is a bit more prominent. Performed TIMPS, which is a middle ear test, that came back normal. Just looking at the posterior inferior quadrant there. They're the plugs. I think the one at the bottom, the darker one, was from their left side, which is apparently fully clear, and the eardrum was visible. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, and speak soon. Bye.